Hell no, Airbnb is not dead. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe social media. Things got a little challenging. So you'll hear Pace Morby say Airbnb's dead. He's all over the internet right now.
All over, dude.
You know why?
Yeah.
Pace is buying RV parks, and Pace does sub 2. Pace is selling you his stuff. He's going to say Airbnb sucks. I've spent over $200,000 in the last couple of years on mentorship, self-improvement, coaching. I would not be doing what I'm doing or where I'm at had I not done that. I own a hotel now because I did that. To get where you want to go, you have to go through the journey. You have to do it. The only way to get where you want to go is you have to go through the steps, confronting yourself, confronting the new devils, and doing the work. Like for the Solvang hotel that we bought, what did we buy it for? Like 5.9, but we had to raise $3.2 million. Whatever you're buying it for, you need to raise about half of that.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Double Down Podcast. Today, we have an absolute powerhouse joining us. Meet Kassidy Warren. With a staggering $13 million real estate portfolio, including a thriving hotel and numerous properties, Kassidy is the go-to expert for entrepreneurs looking to navigate the dynamic world of short-term rentals. So get ready for a jam-packed episode where we dive deep into the secrets of success, the latest trends, and some invaluable tips from one of the best in the business. I want to jump into it right away for anyone who comes to this episode for thinking, I want to get into the Airbnb space. And I want to start off with this question. Is Airbnb dead?
Hell no, Airbnb is not dead.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
Please.
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe social media. What happened is things got a little challenging and the market shifted a little bit and people are now investing in other things. So you'll hear Pace Morby say Airbnb's dead. He's all over the internet right now.
All over, dude.
You know why?
I don't.
And I love Pace.
Yeah.
Pace is buying RV parks and Pace does sub 2. Pace is selling you his stuff.
God.
Right? So he's going to say Airbnb sucks, right?
Yeah.
So the reason that I love Airbnb is because the people that I want to help most are those that want to quit their job or they're stuck in a trap. They can't figure out how to get out of their situation, right? And Airbnbs are really the only way for anyone in corporate America or working a regular job where you can pay $0 in taxes legally. It's the short-term rental loophole, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the only reason to be investing in Airbnbs. You get cash flow. Like I said, you get the tax benefits. And then you can stack equity. Airbnbs, you don't have to go buy in the Smokies. You don't have to go buy in Florida. Right. You don't have to go buy in vacation destinations or Joshua Tree where it's really saturated, right?
Absolutely.
The thing with Airbnb and the model that I teach and that I love is you go find the house in a neighborhood or an area that needs a little bit of work, but it's in a good zip code, right? We all know the zip codes where we want to live or we want to own a house, right? Like I live in the Seattle area. I want to go buy where Bill Gates is living, right?
Yeah.
So if you go find a house in a neighborhood like that needs a little bit of work, you're going to go create a ton of equity. Equity is where real wealth is made. And I think Airbnbs offer people like all the benefits. Airbnb is an S-tier investment. In my opinion.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So there's the tier ranking, right? Like the Gen Z kind of coined the tier ranking.
Right.
So there's like FD, low rankings, BCA, like S is like top tier of real estate investing. So people say Airbnb is dead. Airbnb is actually an S tier for the right person. Okay. If you're a doctor, lawyer, engineer, like a software engineer, you're making 100, 200, 300, 500,000, $1 million a year, but you have to spend all your time on your job, which you should because that's a lot of money. Keep making that money, but you're paying a ton in taxes. So the reason why Airbnb is an S tier is because you get to buy something, you make a little bit of renovations, a little bit of improvements, but you're buying in an amazing neighborhood, which means that every dollar that you put in on renovations, you're getting $2 out, $3 out, right? Instead of going into like a Michigan market and buying a lake house for $300,000, you can't put any money into that because it's still going to be worth $300,000 in the end in most Michigan lake markets, right?
Yeah.
But we have a property that we bought in Tucson, Arizona in one of the best neighborhoods, and we bought it for $835,000. We put about $225,000 into it, and it's worth $1.4 million now.
Beautiful. On
one property.
Yeah.
And it's an Airbnb. And guess what? When you do that, when you make improvements, you're also generally making it a better Airbnb. And so then you're getting a ton of equity. So we created about $400,000 worth of equity in one property.
Right.
It does about $175 gross revenue.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And So we're cash flowing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we're paying $0 in taxes for 3 years on that one property.
That alone makes it all work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you only have to spend 100 hours to get the tax benefits from the government, right? So if you're a busy couple, right, you can find 100 hours in a year to get the property set up. You don't have to do everything. You don't got to be putting all the furniture together if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have to spend 100 hours. But that's why it's S tier. Because if you're just flipping a house, you have to pay taxes on the flip, right? If you did all the improvements, if you made all the updates, the same house, and I sold it, I would have to pay taxes on the difference between that 1.4 million and that 835. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Versus holding it for 5 years, getting all the tax benefits, getting all the cash flow, and then I can 1031 exchange tax free. And with that equity in that one property, over 5 years, I could go buy about $3 to $4 million worth of real estate.
I love it.
Right. So this is what I teach. This is what I'm out here. Hey, everybody, if you're an engineer, if you're a couple with a lot of money and you're paying a lot in taxes, this is the path to generational wealth. Yeah. If you don't want to become a full-time investor or build a big business, if you're a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever, your highest leverage activity is to keep doing your job. Make as much active income as you can. Keep doing that forever and ever, as long as you can stand it, and then go buy a bunch of Airbnbs, and you're storing your wealth, and you're getting tax benefits, and it's leveraged. So
Would you say the same thing? Even you just said, purchase a lot of Airbnbs. What if they aren't creating income, right? Let's say there's obviously some that you buy and you don't know until you know, right, that it's a flop. Would you continue to hold it anyways because there's so many benefits of it?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
If you're making a bunch of money, you don't necessarily need the cash flow.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying buy stuff that loses money. I'm not saying buy something that you're spending out of pocket every year. But what I like to tell people is let's say you hold something for 5 years. Okay. There's different buckets of money that you get from each property. There's different ways of making money on real estate. So for Airbnbs, it's cash flow. It's the amount of equity that you create or that you get over time or that you force. It's the tax benefits, and then it's the principal pay down.
Love it.
So over 5 years, do the math on each of those buckets. How much cash flow, how much equity, how much tax benefits, and how much in principal pay down. Usually, well, I know this for a fact, principal pay down is going to be the lowest.
Okay.
Usually then cash flow is the next lowest. And then depending on how much equity you create or whatever, it's usually a tie or close between equity created and tax benefits. So, and I will say the cash flow is usually like half as much or less if you do it right.
Okay, yeah.
Compared to the equity and the tax benefits.
Got it.
So if you're making a bunch of money, you don't need cash flow.
Okay.
You don't need cash flow. At least it's not the number one priority.
Got it.
And so if you add up, so like in that property, let's say we cash flow $75K over 5 years. What is that? That's $325K, something like that.
Yeah.
But over 5 years with the equity that we created and appreciation over time, it's anywhere from $600,000 to $800,000 in equity.
Got it.
Which would you rather have?
Absolutely.
Right? Yes, you need cash flow to pay the bills. You need cash flow to pay the mortgage, all that.
Yeah.
But if you're making $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year, and you're losing $1,000 a month, but you save $300,000 in taxes a year, like what do you care about?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's so funny that you asked that question because most people that are wealthy or are high income earners, everyone's still focused on cash flow.
Yeah.
When if you do the math, you want appreciation, you want equity, because that's how you create wealth in real estate, especially not on the first property, maybe not on the second property.
Okay.
When you go buy the next properties with the equity that you created
from the other two,
because it's a leveraged asset.
Got it.
Right? If you go buy stock, you buy 1 unit of stock, you get 1 unit of stock.
Right.
With real estate, you put 20% down and you get 100% of the asset. So you buy 1 unit, you get 5 units. Right? That's what leverage is. Right? So the cash flow pays the debt.
Okay.
But you get all of the appreciation, all of the value increase on the entire asset. And then because it's leveraged, all that equity you can go take. Like I said, we bought 835, turned it into 1.4, but we'll be able to go buy 3 to 4 million with that equity because it's leveraged.
Right.
And so then the cash flow off of that if we're doing it right,
Yeah.
will be greater in total dollars. And the equity that we're creating is what creates generational wealth. And you can go leverage that. You can do cash out refis. You can get lines of credit. And you can go continue to buy more and more real estate or invest your money however you want.
Thank you, dude. For anyone who's interested in this, obviously this is only going to be my conversation to sit down with him, but go to his channel for your own good, because what he just broke down in a really, really short sum is just what he teaches all over his YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, please go follow and subscribe and like this, because he's breaking it all down here. I'm going to keep going, though, for you guys and try to get as many answers out of this man as I can. Is this scenario only feasible for high-income earners, though?
No.
Okay.
No. So for anyone that makes less than 100K,
yes,
you can still go buy.
Just so you know, it's like the median average income. You know what I mean? It's like 52,000 or something for the U.S.
That's right.
So could everyone do this?
Yes. The reason I say everyone can do this is they get to make a decision that this is going to be the direction that they go.
Got it.
This is available to everybody. Once you do a couple deals, you realize you can learn very easily how to make money, how not to make money, good deals, bad deals, right? It's once you get in, it's a lot easier to see how to make money. Okay. So there's a couple different ways to think about this. Number one, if you're only making 50 grand a year, go build your skills. Go build your skills. I know everyone on the internet, like, oh yeah, invest in yourself. 100%.
Yeah.
I've spent over $200,000 in the last couple of years on mentorship, self-improvement, coaching, and I would not be doing what I'm doing or where I'm at had I not done that. I own a hotel now because I did that.
Absolutely.
So you need to go build your skills, and you need to, whatever cash you have before you go invest in real estate, I want you to go get into bigger rooms, get into mentorships, get into coaching, get around people that are doing big, big deals. You want to feel like very uncomfortable being around people that are doing big deals, big real estate things. And it's not enough to just be around them.
Yeah.
You have to do what they say. And what that's going to do is that when you're in these groups, whether it's meetups or coaching, and usually the best thing to do is pay to get into something, because now you're invested.
Right.
And then you're in the room and they're going to help you. And you're going to, if you do everything they say, you're going to get better. It's going to be uncomfortable, but that's how you get to the next level, is you have to become this different version of yourself. And that's how you keep going, keep going, keep going. So step one is get into the right rooms, get educated, but don't sit on the education, go do. And so in the beginning, if you don't have the money, you're going to have to either raise money, you're going to have to, or put in sweat equity,
okay,
right? Which means that you're going to have to go find deals. You might have to manage the contractors. Like there's stuff that people with money don't want to do.
Right.
And so when you don't have money, but you've got time, or you've got the desire and the willpower, you get to do the things that nobody else wants to do.
Right.
And that's just a fact of life. And then from there, you need to escalate your growth and escalate the level of deals that you get into, right? I've got a buddy, Brian. He was my first podcast guest. He was homeless.
Wow.
But he was building his skills, and he was writing in his journal, and he was describing his future life. And it's these types of things that get you to the next level. And so then somehow he was able to get enough money to go buy his first flip. This was only like 2 years ago.
Wow.
And now he's running one of the most successful flipping businesses in the Seattle area. And he has a wholesaling business, but he figured it out. And until you make the commitment of investing in yourself and getting into the right rooms and like spending the money, finding the money, raising money, you're not going to do it, because you have to do different things to get different results.
Right.
Like that's just a fact of life.
Yep.
Like you are where you are right now because of all the things that you've decided up to this point.
Absolutely.
People don't realize that we are a result of our habits and our decisions that we've made up to this point right now. And that means that as soon as we start making different decisions and different habits and taking different actions, we get different results. And so if you're only making 50K, go invest in yourself, build your skill set, recognize that the world is like this huge expansive place, and you're a short distance away from living the life of your dreams.
Absolutely.
The other way to think about this is, and I had the interview with Ryan Pineda yesterday.
Yeah, talk about it.
He started with maxing out his credit cards on a flip.
Yeah.
He went all in on himself. He made 25K after paying everything off, made 25K on that one flip. And then he did another one. And then at some point he had 200K, and him and his wife, that was the most money that they'd ever made in their life.
Right.
They felt rich.
Yeah.
Right. And what you do is you keep investing that. You keep investing that. You go to bigger deals, bigger deals, bigger deals. But the people that are willing to put it all on the line, burn the boats, do everything it takes to get to that next level, those are the people that win. And it's hard and it's uncomfortable and it might take longer than you expect. And your family's going to abandon you and your friends are going to wonder what the hell you're doing and you're going to get criticized and you're going to have lack of sleep for a little while.
Right.
But then you get what you want. You get what you want and more, really. So the other way is that you just buy smaller deals to begin with, right?
Okay.
Practically speaking, like I can't go buy, well, I mean, I can go buy a $10 million hotel, but I got to raise money, but I had to learn those skills.
Yeah.
I had to learn all that stuff. I had to get into a room and be almost forced into, you got to go raise money.
Yeah.
And I did, and it was uncomfortable and it's hard and you learn a lot about yourself. But you can also just buy smaller deals as long as you can increase the value substantially.
Love it.
There's also wholesaling. So this is actually Ryan Pineda's thing. Like
Yeah.
I asked him, what's the quickest way to make money in real estate?
Yeah.
Wholesaling.
Right.
Because you're not actually doing real estate. You're just doing sales,
Yeah.
essentially. You're finding a deal, you're selling a contract, and you're getting a fee. And in 30 days, you can make anywhere from 5 to 15 to 100K, depending on how hard you hustle and you work.
Yep.
But that requires skill building. And that's the whole basis of everything is as you grow, as you want more income, as you want more money, you have to build your skills. Sometimes it's hard skills, sometimes it's soft skills, sometimes it's technical, non-technical, leadership. Each new level requires you to confront new devils, right? New levels, new devils.
Yep.
And you might be so far behind of where you want to be, but that's okay because to get where you want to go, you have to go through the journey.
Yeah.
You have to do it. Like the only way to get where you want to go is you have to go through the steps
Right.
of confronting yourself, confronting the new devils, and doing the work and really being brutally honest with yourself about what you want in this life.
Absolutely. And I always try to tell myself, and as me and my wife, we always just say, tomorrow's going to come nonetheless. So might as well be working towards the tomorrow that you want. Because the same 24 hours you're going to wake up, it's going to come. Why make it suck?
Yeah.
You know, and just go through it. If you don't mind, I was able to actually watch your journey through your highlight reels on your Instagram page. So I saw, dude, you started renting your secondary room in your condo with your wife. Great wife. I'll just give a shout out to Erin for her to be able to stomach a stranger coming and living in her home. And I'm sure that was a testament to you being able to get her to understand this is the vision and the dream, right? So shout out to partners. Pick a great partner. You go a long way. What was that like, though, renting a room for $35 in your house? Because you're telling the public to go purchase another property, rent it out to strangers. You came and got it out of the mud, dude. You had strangers in your home. Like, Airbnb literally started as an air mattress bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
You were doing it.
Yeah.
What was that like?
We were there, like, I don't know when Airbnb was founded, but we probably started like 2 years after that with our spare bedroom. And the thing is, my wife grew up really poor.
Okay.
And I didn't grow up poor, but it was middle class with a very scarce mindset.
Got it.
Save every penny, do everything yourself, like don't owe anyone anything. Debt is bad. And so my wife and I have a very similar like money mindset that we've really had to break through. But we also have this desire to go create massive things in the world.
Mm.
And we have a desire to go explore and experience. And we saw our mortgage payment.
Yeah.
And was like, okay, this is holding us back.
Okay.
And we didn't know what to do, but we actually went up to Canada for a concert. It was The Weeknd, one of my favorite artists. We saw him live, but we stayed in an Airbnb, and this is 2015. And I didn't know we were staying with the hosts,
Okay.
Terry and Selena.
Oh,
I still remember them
shout out.
because I was in my head about staying with them. I was a little upset, and then we met them, and they were incredible. And this was before any education, and they gave us everything, how to run an Airbnb out of your house.
Wow.
Like they gave us everything, all the knowledge. And so it was the next week that actually I was at work and my wife was like, I did it. And I was like, you did what?
Yeah.
And she sent me the link and like, I have the photo that it was our listing photo. And I can't believe people wanted to stay with us. There's holes in the ceiling. There's holes in the wall. It's like the pillows are all messed up. Like it's a fisheye lens photo.
Yeah.
But we did it and we started. And people booked it, and they booked it for $35 a night. And summer on the weekends, it was like 100 or more, whatever. We were, we're near a lake, we're near Google. But that paid 3/4 of our mortgage. And I came home from my lunches to flip it. We were messaging guests. We learned the whole thing of how to be in hospitality, of how to run an Airbnb. And at the time, we only had one bathroom. We only had one bathroom in our condo. It was a 1,000 square foot condo, and we had one bathroom. So in like the guest messaging or in like the welcome guide, it said, hey, please coordinate with us. We wanted to make sure that they could take a shower in the morning, right? So guests would like come out and be like, I remember one lady was like in her robe. She was like, hey, can I use the shower? It's like, yeah. But that's what it was like.
Yeah.
And it was really funny too. The people that stayed 2 nights, some we never even saw.
Okay.
Which was cool. Honestly, it's like, I wake up, I go to work, I don't see anybody. They're in my house, they're out of my house. I never see them, but we get paid, a couple $100.
Right.
Cool. And then there was people that would stay 2 nights. They would come in, they would just kind of say hi, and that was sort of it. Then usually the people that stayed 3 or more nights, there was something that happened on the 3rd day. We'd be hanging out in the living room. They would come back, and then we would sit on the couch and we would talk.
Wow.
Like hours.
Okay.
And we got to meet the most interesting people. There was a woman that we met that she investigated poachings all over the world. She was like the poacher investigator. There's like 3 of them. There was like pro golfers. We got to meet a lot of like really interesting people. And I forgot to mention, but one of the main reasons that we started doing this was we had a really great friend. Her name was Kat, who passed away. I think she was 28 years old when she passed away from cancer.
Wow.
And that really put a perspective of like, whoa. And she was like my wife's best friend.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, this is like, life is really short. Life is really short. And to have this deep desire to do something greater than ourselves and to like live a full life, we can't be stuck in the trap this whole time. So like to kind of round it out here, if you look at where we started to what we're building and creating now, it's unreal. It's unreal. I never thought, right? And there's still levels. There's way more levels, but I never would have thought that it was possible. And so if you have a spare bedroom, if you have an existing property, like use what you have. Honestly, one of the greatest wealth hacks, there's a bunch of them, I can talk about them, but one of the greatest wealth hacks is, especially if you're in your 20s, go buy a house for 3.5% to 5% down. You can scrape together the cash and then rent out the rooms, either long-term or short-term, right? So if you got a bunch of buddies, rent out the rooms or rent them out on Airbnb, and you're either at 0 expenses or you're actually making money every month. And then once that year's up, keep the house, rent it out full-time or rent it out on Airbnb, buy another house for 3.5% to 5% down because you can do it every year as your primary. And then you just repeat that. And if you do that for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you will literally have 5, 6, 7, 8 houses that should be cash flowing, that are appreciating if you're doing it right. And you've just created financial freedom when in your 20s, you're moving around a lot anyways. So why not own the property, create income, make it an asset, right? Turn your liabilities into assets, right? If you have a car, go put it on Turo. Your car went from a liability to an asset.
Right.
I learned that from Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
That was one of the big takeaways is, everything I have is a liability right now. I don't have any assets.
Yep.
Assets make you money. Go take what you have that's existing and turn it into an asset, right? Whatever it takes. And so for anyone that's not started, yes, there is a curve of I'm who I am right now, and I'm trying to become this next version of myself. And it is a curve. There's in my community, I call it escape velocity, because it's this, you need this like momentum. You need this escape velocity to get out of whatever situation you're in. It's not just like, walking on a treadmill. It's like, it's this big lift, but that's why I have the community to help people do that. And real estate is really the foundation to be able to do that. I don't expect everybody to be full-time real estate investors.
Yeah.
I don't expect everybody to rent out their spare bedrooms forever, but you need to do different things to get to a new level. And then the real estate is the foundation for you to go live the life of your dreams, to go live your true purpose. That's my purpose. It's not to teach people about real estate all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a formula. I can teach it to you, right?
Yeah.
It's about creating people that did something different for themselves, broke generational trauma, like quit their jobs and go and are living their true purpose and creating something in this world, right? That's who I'm trying to help. That's my purpose.
That's awesome. And I don't want this to go over the audience's head. He said it, you purchase the home as your primary residence and you live in it for 1 year and then you go buy a second property, you have to do it that way because you have to stay in a room for at least 1 year in it as your primary residence to get it at that 3.5% that he's saying. So I just wanted to be able to touch that for the audience.
The other thing that people forget or they don't know, and I didn't know this when I first started investing, is they look at their income.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I can't afford it. If you are buying a property and you go get your friends to sign leases that they're going to live in those rooms, so you're not doing fraud. You're like, hey, John, Bob, Tom, like, can you sign this 12-month lease saying you're going to pay me $500 a month? You take those leases,
bring it to the table,
bring it to the bank, and that now counts as income.
Yep.
So like if you're approved for $2,000 a month on your own income, but then you're getting $2,000 a month in rent, essentially the bank says that it's zero. Like you have no debt then.
Yep.
So the other way to think about that is, okay, people are like, well, how am I going to go buy another house the second year? Well, you've been renting it out for a year. The bank is like, cool, that's stable income.
Yep.
You have $2,000 a month. Your mortgage is $1,800. Actually, you're $200 positive.
Absolutely.
That's not exactly how it works, but
yeah.
They take 75%. But but what that means is that because you turned your house into an asset and you're getting income, you can go buy the next one and get approved probably for more, right? Depending on what you've done for your income. Or the other way, then people don't know this either, is the way that people continue to buy properties as investment properties is they go get what's called a DSCR loan, which is all it says is how much money will this property make? I don't care about how much you as an individual make. It's not about the job that you have. If I look at this property, the appraiser comes by, how much rent will it make? Whether it's long-term, short-term, if it's a storage unit, like whatever it is. And then the bank will lend you a percentage of that based on the amount of income that it's generating. It has nothing to do with your own debt to income.
Wow.
And that's available to everybody. Even if you have a job, you can get a DSCR loan.
Okay.
Right. So there's so many options out there that people don't even know. They think like, oh, I've got a job. I've got too much debt. I'm stuck at this. Right. I have someone that came into my community. She thought she could only buy a $300,000 house. She ended up buying a $600,000 house that was worth $650,000. She's going to turn it into $750,000 and she's going to rent it on an Airbnb. She thought she was going to have to buy on the south side of the tracks. Right. But she's buying in one of the best neighborhoods in Tucson out in the foothills with amazing views and mountains and all that. So a lot of what stops people is it's information a little bit, but sometimes that information is like 1 week away, one conversation away. It's really the mindset and your ability to take action. That's bottom line. Your ability to live in discomfort temporarily to go get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like people that make $150,000 to $300,000, they're almost in a worse situation than people that make less money because they have created a very comfortable life.
Yeah.
You can afford pretty much anything that you want. But what I see in most couples and families where they're in that income level, they've got the 2 cars, they've got the house, they've got subscriptions.
Yeah.
They're buying fancy bottles of whiskey, fancy bottles of wine.
Couple vacations a year.
Wow. They've got no money left over and they don't know how to actually go create more wealth.
Yeah.
So they have less money left over than people that make less money and they don't want to give up any comfort to go to the next level.
Yeah.
That's a scary place to be.
Yeah.
Because now you're stuck. And really humans, we love growth. We need growth. We need to challenge ourselves. We need to like get to the next level. We need to feel good about ourselves. And the way that we do that is by doing something to get to the next level, whatever it is, right? You don't have to go be a real estate investor. You can go learn a new hobby, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
But a lot of people in that income range have created a very comfortable life that they don't know how to get out of.
Yeah. I see it all the time. And it is a very scary thing to do, to break those habits. Like you said, it's because of the life that you're so used to. So for you to think, oh, to get to the next level means I have to pull back our season tickets at the A's or whatever that is. And, you turn to your partner and they're like, I don't want to do that. I'm used to going shopping and getting this much money and going on these many dates every single year. So it is a very dangerous place to be. Thank you for touching on that. I want to come back to the beginning of your journey because this is huge. I want people to really understand you've done it and you've touched on every single facet. And we'll get to how do you purchase a hotel. That's phenomenal. But dude, you lived in a van. You did van life with your wife. I love my wife deeply.
Okay.
Deeply. I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know One, natural bodily fluids.
Yeah, that was I was like
dude,
kind of nervous about that, and you get over
on.
that. You get over that pretty quick. There was a couple things that I was afraid of that happened like right away. I got over the bathroom thing pretty quick.
Got it.
Also, being in like extreme heat, so that happened pretty quick. We were down in Austin, and I was like melting out of the van because it was so humid.
Yeah.
I survived that, and then the other one I was really afraid of was getting sick in the van, and that happened in Wyoming at like 6,000 feet.
Oh yeah,
it was bad. It was really bad.
No hospitals around.
No, no
CVS's.
Yeah, and then and then I survived. Right, we did end up for like 3 days. We got a hotel room and like just holed up, but I survived. The reason we did van life was we were so burned out, completely burned out.
From like 9 to 5 job or from being Airbnb host?
9 to 5.
Okay.
No. So we had done the Airbnb spare bedroom.
Okay.
And we were still doing that. We hadn't invested in anything yet.
Got it.
Outside of our own home in the spare bedroom. And so I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was like all in. And I think, I made it up pretty close to the top. I was in the executive suite. I wasn't an executive, but I was in the rooms, high performer, like that was me. Like I'm going to run this company someday. Right. And it was a big company, but I got into the rooms and I was just getting basically like beat up with conflict conversations all day. It was a very low vibrational energy. It was not what I expected. And I was just exhausted every single day. And at the time I was drinking. And so the pattern was, and I think this is the pattern for a lot of men and a lot of couples in this country, is you wake up, you're probably still hungover from the night before, no matter what day it is, right? You might have had a drink or 2 drinks. You're not feeling so great. Maybe you went to the gym in the morning, maybe you didn't, but you're doing it because you drank or you ate like crap the night before or that week, right? So you're not really seeing results, and maybe you don't even go to the gym at all. Then you commute in, or you remote in and you're in your sweats now and, get on that Zoom at 9. You're there for 8, 9, 10, maybe sometimes more. You commute home. You're on the phone on the commute home. And then maybe you do a happy hour. Maybe you cook dinner. And now it's DoorDash like all the time because there's no time anymore.
Yeah.
And then you have a couple drinks. You watch some Netflix and you go to bed.
Wow.
That was every single day on repeat. I did not even have enough space to dream. I didn't have enough space to think about what I wanted to do next. And that was a realization in my mind. I was like, man, I used to dream. I used to think about what's next. I used to think about what I want to do. And we're not going out as much. We're not going in nature as much. I'm drinking a lot, right? And so actually doing van life got me sober. That was one of the things that got me sober.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and I'm almost 8 years now. So like incredible.
Yeah.
Changed my life. And so the van was just to create space. And so as soon as we decided, my wife and I decided to do that.
Moving into a van was to create space. That's what I heard.
No one's ever put it that way.
That's what I heard.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Makes so much sense.
Moving into the van was to create space to dream and believe again.
Got it. Okay.
And we had the van. We were just doing like weekend trips. And so we knew what we felt like when we were in the van and we were out in nature. Because we took that van everywhere. Like we were out in the middle of nowhere with that van. Like I was willing to take it places that I probably shouldn't have, honestly. Like we were getting stuck. But yeah, it was to create space. It was out of a desire to have a deeper relationship with my wife too.
Got it.
Like we were so caught up in the trap that we weren't able to love each other the way that we wanted to, or the way that we believed that we could. And I don't want to speak for her, but I know that like I felt just disappointed in who I'd become as a man and a husband and a provider, that I couldn't continue this any longer in this mode of being. And so the van was a way to hit the restart. And what it did is it took us 18 months from when we decided. But what it did in those 18 months was it solidified the confidence that we could commit to a goal like relentlessly. The way that we saved money, the way that we got rid of stuff, the way that we only spent on things that were going to like get us to being able to quit our jobs, because we needed money in the savings account, right? Yeah. So instead of spending all the money on the booze and going out and whatever we were spending money on, that stopped. Like by the end of the 18 months, my clothes were almost like in tatters because I didn't want to buy anything because I wanted this goal. It was the first time since like college that was really like, this is the goal. I'm doing whatever it takes. whatever it takes. And that means like less haircuts. I show up to work and maybe, I don't know if people are looking at me like, man, what's wrong with Kassidy? He looks a little disheveled. Like, probably should have gotten some haircuts. I probably should have bought like some clothes, but it was that level of commitment to something. That was the first time in a long time that I felt that level of commitment to something. And my wife was 100% on board too. And we talk about every day how grateful we are for each other for doing that, like being ride or die together and then getting sober together.
Wow.
Because people don't do that. Couples don't do that. They do,
right?
But I know that there's people listening to this podcast right now that are in their mind thinking like, fuck, if I had to go talk to my wife or talk to my husband about this, it would be a really, really hard conversation.
Right.
And what I encourage you to do is have the conversation and come from a place of love and like, this is what I want for me. This is what I want for us. Like, it's not a conflict. It's we are meant for more, and we can have the love that we want, and we can have the space and the career and everything that we want. But so many couples, I think, are afraid of having that conversation, or they've been hurt too many times to be able to go ask that, or they think they know the answer that their spouse is going to give.
Yeah.
And so the van, like, it was the second day of being in the van that I looked at my wife and I was like, all right, what do you want to do? We were on the road into Yellowstone. The one by the river. And I was like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? She's like, I want to invest in Airbnbs. I want to design homes. I want to be a real estate investor.
Okay.
And I was like, cool, me too. Great. And then the next day we broke down, the motor blew up, and we spent 3 months waiting for it to get fixed. We flew over to Thailand. Like, we had fun for 3 months,
okay.
But then we came back, the motor blew again. It was 6 months of nonstop headaches and frustration. And when we look back now, what happened was we broke down in Tucson. I broke down alone, actually, in Tucson for like 2 weeks. She had to fly home because she was supporting her family in a bit of emergency, which is one of the benefits of having financial freedom, is you get to go support your family when these things come up.
Absolutely.
And we found Tucson, and that's how we found Tucson, was broke down in the van. And that's where we started investing a lot for our Airbnbs, and that's where we've had a lot of our successes, down in Tucson, and we love it. But what the universe was telling us is like, hey, you guys decided that you were going to go do this. So now, like, get out of this van and get back to work.
Yeah.
Right. So that 6 months of the van, that was done. And then that started, I went back to work as a consultant and spent the next, like, basically 5 years buying 2 properties a year, and like all in on Airbnbs and this model that we teach of kind of luxury flips, creating as much equity and cash flow as possible. So it was wild. Yeah. The van, one more story about the van.
Please.
So we were staying at a Walmart parking lot for a couple days, waiting on some parts. This is in the east side of Tucson, really nice Walmart. And it was the 2 of us for a few days. And then my wife left. She flew back to her family's house in Montana. And then it was just me. And I was there. And then all of a sudden, the security guards and the managers are like outside, just like watching me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is different, right? When it's a couple, it's like normal. When it's a single guy in a van in a parking lot, it's different. And then I even, the next day or a couple days later, I was just at a different Walmart parking lot taking a break. Like, I had like a sparkling water or something. I was sitting in the back, and the managers came out and kicked me out of the parking lot, like midday. Yeah. They said that I was bothering guests.
Yeah.
I was not.
I was not.
But I was like, wow, I don't ever want to feel like this again.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be treated this way. I don't ever want to feel this way. And even living that way in the van really taught me, like, oh, it reinforced that the scarcity mindset of save, don't spend money is a really negative place to be. Because, like, I was so like, I want this money to last as long as possible, to live in the van as long as possible.
Right.
But that created this weird mentality around money and not spending that I realized I don't ever want to be that way again.
Yeah. So
the difference between like saving and scrimping and sacrificing versus creating income, creating abundance, limitless possibilities. So that the van really taught me that I don't ever want to live that way.
Yeah, dude.
There's a different way to get freedom.
Yeah, I've never heard of anyone, and I mean anybody, getting kicked out of Walmart. Walmart accepts everybody, so that's a big deal.
Well, I'll wear that badge of honor. Yeah. Yeah. I was shocked. Yeah. I was shocked. And I left. I was like, okay, I got to go.
Absolutely.
I was like, don't you know who I am?
Right.
Don't you know who I am? No, you're bothering.
This is my van.
Yeah, this is my van. Yeah. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say the audience doesn't do van life and doesn't break down in Tucson. What is another way to find areas or markets that you think are healthy, you know what I mean, to be a first investor in, or something that's a little bit safe? Because not everyone, let's be honest, has the mindset that you and your wife had. And you guys had it so early on before you had money, right?
Yeah.
So what is like a safe market, or where is a safe, let's just say how do they even find these opportunities?
Yeah, great question. I'm actually going over this today in my community because people get so distracted by what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Right. And if you invested in Florida or the Smokies and you did it late and you copied everybody else, you probably lost money.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
You probably lost money. You might have gotten the tax benefits, but you probably don't make cash flow and the value of the property might have gone down. Right. So that's the fear. That's why I like to teach the model that I do, where you make improvements to the property, because you're kind of hedging against the market taking a downturn.
Okay.
But what I recommend to everybody is pick 2 markets. Just pick 2. And usually you don't have to go pick a market that's multiple states away or that is like somewhere besides your backyard or somewhere near you.
Yeah.
Right. So I actually recommend for the first one, people find a market that's local to them. Now, a lot of Californians, they're like, well, I can't do that. And that's fine. Go to Arizona, go to Utah, go to like
Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so with Airbnb, you got to make sure the regulations are okay.
Yeah.
But
hotels hate us.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And so for the first one, I usually say like, go pick a local market or even go pick like a great neighborhood that's in your city, right? If you can afford it, because it doesn't always have to be a vacation destination. But if you go find a property that needs a little bit of work, you go do that work, you make it really nice, you increase the value, you make it an Airbnb, like people are going to come. People are going to come, right? Like you don't want to go to middle of nowhere, Kansas and put a bunch of money and expect people to come and like do the pool table and do all that. Like that might not work. But I would say pick 1 to 2 markets and focus on them and find something that needs a little bit of work and then create something. Very like tactically, you need to know that money goes to that market. And the area, the way that I teach and the recommendation that I have for people is you find the wedge. Okay. Meaning a lot of the work that I do, a lot of the comping and the analysis and the underwriting and like all this, I just go search Airbnb as a guest.
Nice.
So go pick a market, go pick your hometown, or like I'm up in Seattle, so go pick Leavenworth or go pick Cle Elum or the Islands, and go search for random dates for 6 to 8 people to 10 people.
Yeah.
See what comes up. And if there's properties that are just like, whoa, this is insane, and they're charging a lot of money, and you go look at their calendars and the dates are booked, what that tells me is that money goes to that market.
That's smart.
Money goes to that market.
Yeah.
If you search and it's like, ooh, there's not a lot here, I don't know, money might not go to that market. But what you do is, in both of those situations, the first one, if there are those banger properties, you now go get to create a wedge property. So there's the average, there's the middle, there's the mediocrity, then there's the top properties. That means that there's a huge gap in between those two.
Yeah.
And usually there's a couple, but usually there's still room for that. And what you do is you essentially look at the top properties and you say, okay, what can I pull from these, do it my way, so that if someone's looking, they can't necessarily afford that or they don't want to spend it on that, but they'll pay close to that because I'm giving them a very similar experience. I might not have 5 acres or I might not have 5,000 square feet, but how do I create the amenities and the experience of that? And then what do I think I can charge? Right. And so usually that's where you make the most amount of money, because you can buy a quote unquote average property and make it above average as long as it has some unique features for that market.
Gotcha.
Right. And so in Tucson, we add pools, hot tubs, we create an outdoor resort vibe. We do a bunch of different stuff on those properties. And we outperform the market by like 3x what the data says. Right. And so just go look and see if there's money coming. If you're the other scenario and there's not a lot of properties where there's like high ADRs, you still have an opportunity to be the best in the market. You don't always want to be that because you're kind of testing it. But if you can find a market where, and this is the first property we bought was in Cleveland. If you can find a market where the ratio of purchase price to revenue is high, low.
Yeah.
So basically, the lower the purchase price, but the higher the revenue, that's a good market to go invest in. And so if you're looking at a market like we did with Cleveland, and there was a couple higher end properties, but they were kind of weird, or like they were like big mansion type, not the average family's not necessarily going to want to book those.
Right.
We said, oh, we can come in, we can do some design, and we bought this property for $277.
Wow.
Which is, this is a while ago, but $277. And on average, we did about like $75K in revenue on that property.
That's good.
Yeah. That's great. It's not a ton of money, but that's good.
Yeah.
And then we sold it for $459.
Oh yeah.
So you can basically go be the best in the market, and you can see how many listings there are how good they are the calendars booked? And then you just go in and create a great property. And what I will tell you is also, don't chase the trends. Don't chase the wallpaper and the neon signs and the disco balls unless you're going all in on a specific avatar, right? So Michael Elefante does a really great job at this. Michael Elefante, he creates these amazing properties that are a very specific avatar, and he charges $2,500 to $5,000 a night. Yep. He does really well. Or he created the Bachelorette Party House. But then that gets oversaturated too. Because if you're chasing the trends, you're basically just creating the same thing that already exists. Yep. If you go into the Austin market, and I've got some really great friends out there that are doing incredible things, but like you look at properties, I can't tell the difference between a lot of them. And like, why am I going to spend $1,000 to $2,000 a night on this when it's not really anything different or special? And so you get to go find a way to create something special in the property, and you get to do that on your own. And we do it through design. We do it through timeless design. We use tile and textures and colors and interesting things. And, we took a dining room and turned it into like the 70s loft record player room, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we design for ourselves. Like, it's like us and other couples, and there may or may not be kids. Okay. Some people design all out kids. Yeah. That's not what we do. But you get to create a property. In my mind, this is the best strategy, that is just like a higher end, like really well designed property. That's the way that we do it. And then you add amenities that make sense, like sauna, cold plunge. Those are not trends. Those will do really well if you do it right. Yeah. So back to your question about picking markets, pick one or two, do a little bit of research, find a property that is you can buy for under market value, make some improvements, and then do some timeless design, and that's it. Yeah. That's as simple as it gets.
Yeah, well, I was going to say it way more simple, but mine obviously was incorrect. I was going to say just drive around and look for Starbucks. Yeah. Wherever you see the most Starbucks, this is where you want to be. Yeah. And there's money coming into town, but yours makes a lot more sense. But I like your mindset also, because there's so many, I think it's kind of a generational thing. They're like scared of color, or they're scared of pop, or they're scared of that wow. Like you go to these model homes or showings of these brand new houses here in Vegas, everything is tan, gray, matte, black, and white. Yeah. So for you saying that you guys like to play around with textures and colors and tiles and like fabrics and stuff, that's really, really cool. And you don't hear that or see it a lot. So it's easy to see like why you guys stand out and why you do so well.
Yeah. We also decided to invest in bathrooms.
Okay.
Because if you're going to compete against hotel rooms and you're going to be bringing groups together, people like to have their own room with their own bathroom. Right. Like that's just fact. And if you update the bathrooms, usually you get the return. So most of the time in Airbnbs, people don't do the bathrooms, and not every market needs it. But if you can create a resort-like experience in just the bedroom and bathroom that each couple gets, and put an office desk so that you can work remotely in that room, like, you've now created a little mini hotel in your property. So like whatever people are coming into town for, they've got everything they need. They've got privacy. They've got their office desk. They've got a really well-designed bathroom, like, and then a comfortable room. And there's really simple things that you can do with materials and with products. It doesn't have to be super expensive. Like people think it has to be this crazy number, but I go for timeless design and color. Like, and when I say color, like, it doesn't have to be crazy, but like at one of our properties, and this is my wife, she's super smart with this stuff. She did what's called color drenching. Okay. I didn't know what color drenching was,
Never
but
heard of it.
You paint every wall on the ceiling the same color, and the doors and the trim. So everything is the same color. Okay. And so we did like a light pink, and then we played off of that, and the headboards we do We don't buy headboards off of Wayfair. We build them, and sometimes they're tile, but it creates a ledge. Everything that we do, if you're going to start building something or put a hammer or a chisel or, start using a tool, try to combine two elements. It's not just about design, or it's not just about function, or it's not whatever. Like if you can combine design and function, that's when you win. That's when you win, when something that you designed and built also is just like so functional. So we built a headboard. We built a bunch of different headboards, but a headboard that's like coming out of the wall, and it's got like an 8-inch shelf on top. So you can put laptop, we put like little sage burners, you can put decorations, you can put your art up there. It doesn't have to hang on the wall. And then we put two little arch, essentially side tables in the headboard with lights, and it's another opportunity for decoration. And so we created this really incredible design, and it's functional. So when you're designing your properties, if you can do both, that's when you win. It's not just about putting wallpaper on the walls. It's not just about your side tables or your furniture, your bed frame, or whatever it is. It's like, how can you create something that just feels like so thoughtful in its approach?
So let's say I like that. I mean, that's really cool. I don't know if it would be like overstimulating. I guess I'd have to see it though. Color drenching. That's cool. What about the individual who wants to get into this but doesn't have the time or isn't creative like you and your wife happen to be, or aren't handy and they can't go build a headboard? Are they just ordering everything from Amazon and they're like hiring a team to go put this together? Or are they supposed to put their life on pause, working, go down there and learn all of this stuff on their own on the fly?
Yeah, so great question. If you don't have the time, one, you need to find 100 hours to get the tax benefits. I'm just going to say that. Find 100 hours to get the tax benefits, and you have to spend more time than any one individual. So I just want to say that up front.
Why do you keep saying that? 100 hours. What is?
Oh, that's the requirement for the short-term rental loophole to be able to get the cost segregation depreciation for anyone that has a job to offset their income taxes.
There we go.
Right. So normally you have to have rep status, and that's like 700 hours. And if you have a job, the IRS says, no, you can't have rep status. If you have a job and you pay a lot in taxes, you go by the Airbnb. To get the benefit, you have to spend 100 hours.
Got it.
Right. So, but you, I don't build the headboards. Our contractor does. All I'm saying is that we had them built.
Got it.
But you don't have to do all of that. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. And the great thing about, if you do what I said, of finding a property that needs some work and doing the work and creating a bunch of equity, it leaves a little bit of room, or should leave a little bit of room for some budget to pay people, right? You should always be hiring contractors, in my opinion, unless your husband or your wife is a general contractor. There are teams of people, they're called installers. They will go to the Airbnbs and they will go essentially put everything on the walls. They'll put the furniture together. They'll do all that. I recommend hiring them, because they'll fly out if they're not local. They'll do all that. Like, absolutely. And I have a good friend. Her name's Nikki in Seattle. She does this. And so you can do the design. You can hire a designer. There's all sorts of ways to do it. You will need to spend some time, right? You cannot build an Airbnb. You can't build a hotel. You can't do any of this passively and just hope that it happens.
Yeah.
If you want to be completely and utterly passive, there are people that you can hire, but then you're not going to get the tax benefits. And another good friend, Sarah Glidewell, she does the Michigan lake houses, but she crushes it. She's helping her clients, but they're underwater. They're paying her so much money to do this, but the property isn't worth what they're paying her. They just want to do it.
Yeah.
But if you want your money to work for you, that's why I say go create equity in a property, because that leaves a little bit of budget to go pay people so that you're not underwater on the property. And that's the problem with a lot of short-term rentals from the get-go, is that they're underwater from renovations, and the property's not worth as much. All the furniture that you put into it, the people that you pay to do the install, it's a $500,000 house, but you spent, $200,000 or more doing everything, but the house is only worth $550,000, right? Yeah. You don't want to be in that situation. And that's what I try to help people avoid.
So there's a little bit of sweat equity, because you can't just spend everything out and outsource and try to do it completely passive. That makes perfect sense. Can I ask so you did say earlier, the goal for you guys was 2 properties every single year. How long did it take with that model to get to the ability to purchase the hotel?
Great question. We could have done the hotel much earlier.
Wow.
So I was not in any coaching programs. I wasn't in any mentorships. I I was so heads down and so focused on the short-term rentals because I knew the model and we had a formula.
You feel safe.
Yes.
Yeah,
but we were still doing so much, and I was doing the consulting work because we were taking all that money from consulting and funneling it into the real estate, which is what I recommend people do.
Yeah.
But we were doing so much. And so I got burned out again. And I said, okay, there's got to be a different way, right? And that's when I found Rich Summers. He's out of San Diego. He was doing the Hotel Mastermind. It took me a while, but I joined it. And after I joined it, within 6 weeks, I owned a hotel.
Wow.
Because I just needed to learn a little bit about the language, and I was afraid to raise money.
Can I ask, how much did that mastermind cost you?
It's $35,000.
There we go, people.
Yes.
There we go.
I don't know if it costs that much anymore. I don't know, but it's one of the best masterminds I've ever been a part of.
Absolutely.
There's about 150 people in it right now. And it's where I cut my teeth on buying hotels and raising money and learning all the SEC stuff, right? It was for me, it was a little bit of information that I needed, but it was also, I needed to be around the people to get over the fear of essentially raising money and understanding how that worked. And I don't recommend everyone just go buy hotels only or go buy short-term rentals only. There's a way to do both or multiple types, as long as you're not like getting overwhelmed or distracting yourself, because hotels are a longer life cycle or a longer just cycle, right? Like finding a property takes a while, getting under contract. The owner may not really want to sell it. Like you got to do due diligence, then you got to raise money, then you got to do all the renovations, then you got to stabilize. And then after, 1, 2, or 3 years, you get to refi. And that's when you really make the money, is on the refinance. So the life cycle of a hotel is a lot longer than just going and buying a bunch of Airbnbs. So for people wanting to get out, I say, go buy a bunch of Airbnbs and do it the way that I teach, make money essentially.
Yeah.
But if you want to get into hotels, the way it works is you have to raise money essentially.
Okay.
Because you have to, usually you're less leverage, meaning on a Airbnb, you can put 20% down, sometimes 10, depending on if it's a vacation home loan. With hotels, usually if you're going to the bank, you have to put 30 to 40% down.
Wow.
And then you need reserves, and then you need due diligence costs and lawyer fees and renovation and, all that. So like for the Solvang hotel that we bought, what we buy it for? Like 5.9, but we had to raise $3.2 million.
Wow.
And that's usually how it works out right now, is that whatever you're buying it for, you need to raise about half of that for everything that I just described.
Okay.
And it's possible, and we did it.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot. It's heavier operations, right? It's a little bit different than just running Airbnbs. Now, don't let that dissuade you from buying a hotel. And there could be easier ways to do it. There's a lot of benefit, right? That property is going to be worth $10 million after the income gets stabilized. And that's where the money comes from in commercial real estate. Again, it doesn't necessarily come from cash flow.
Okay.
It comes from valuing the property based on how much money it's making. And that's the downside of Airbnbs. If I'm making $1 million on one Airbnb, it's still worth whatever it's worth based on the neighborhood, right?
Right.
If I double my income on a hotel, I just 10x'd its value.
Wow.
Right? So it's what's called cap rate evaluation. It's how commercial real estate's evaluated based on the income. And so one very simple way to look at that is with hotels. If there's a manager's unit, like a lot of hotels had a manager's unit where the manager lived on site, you don't necessarily need that anymore. If you convert that into a room, let's say one, and that room makes you that room makes you $50,000 a year.
Okay.
You didn't add any expenses because you just turn it into a room. So yeah, you had to like pay to do the bed and the whatever, but you don't need to hire extra housekeepers. There's no additional expenses to convert that unit.
Yeah.
But you create $50,000 more of income on the hotel. Well, that actually just created $500,000 of value on the property.
Okay, because it 10x'd it.
Yeah, because I'm using essentially a 10% cap rate is what it's called. Yeah, okay. So yeah, NOI over cap rate is the valuation. And so if you can do that and you can add fees, reduce expenses, if I can find an extra $100,000 a year in revenue, that's $1 million in value.
Wow.
Right? That doesn't exist on the Airbnbs.
No.
Right? That only exists in commercial real estate. But usually it's a longer life cycle.
Okay.
So again, I think there's a mix here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
do you go in with the same mindset? Like you said, are you looking for distressed hotels? Are you looking for maybe like an older couple who just wants to get out of it, or run down, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's the same model. It's the
Okay.
same model. Yeah, and I didn't mention seller financing. So
Okay.
what we're finding out there is most hotels are owned by a couple
Yeah.
that wants to retire. Their kids don't want the property. So the best thing you can do is actually seller finance. And what that means is the sellers, the couple that wants to retire, you will pay them a down payment, 5, 10, 15, 20%.
Yeah.
And then you pay them a monthly installment, usually at a lower rate than what's available in the market. So if it's a 7%, 8%, 9% rate right now, you might pay them 4 or 5% or less as part of the monthly payment to them. And then if you have to put 40% down on a traditional loan, you might put 5, 10, 15%, whatever you can agree on.
Yeah.
Right. So you're saving cash and you're saving monthly costs. Seller finance is a great tool. They have to agree to do it.
Yeah.
You got to get good at convincing someone that seller financing is a good thing for both of us.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main things that we're finding. But yeah, the model's the same. Find distressed properties, good bones, good location, mountains, lakes, rivers, ocean. Also, a lot of Airbnbs you want to buy in red states because the law is protecting your land.
Yeah.
A lot of hotels you want to buy in blue states because like the zoning is in your favor, and they might restrict Airbnbs, right? So go buy hotels in markets where Airbnbs are restricted.
Yeah.
Right. Because you have less competition and you know that you're going to get to stick around. Proper zoning, neighbors aren't really an issue. Like there's a whole host of reasons why hotels are incredible.
Yeah.
Right. So I still love both and I teach both, but.
And then do they come like with maintenance crews and like groundsmen and maids and housekeepers and all of like now not only are you a property owner of this commercial real estate, you are a boss of maybe 100 employees.
Could be.
Was that a new thing for you? That's a totally different hat.
The two new things are, and I came from corporate, so I was used to kind of managing big teams and big budgets, but it's different when you're not in corporate. And you have partners, and that's usually how people buy hotels.
Okay,
is you're buying with partners.
That's how you raise the money.
100%.
Okay.
And then you all are essentially co-owners, and the best thing you can do is determine who does what up front.
Who's
written
skill?
Yeah. Are you finance? Are you project management? Are you construction management? Are you operations, marketing? Define the roles very clearly for each of the partners, and then the equity gets split up based on two things: your role and how time consuming or how experienced you are at it, and then how much money you raised. Right. So depending on how much money you raised as part of the total raise will increase your equity in the property, which is another reason why hotels and commercial real estate is such a great way to increase your wealth. I didn't have to put in money. I did put in some of my own money, but like, let's say I didn't have to put in any money to get ownership in the property.
Yeah, because you raise it.
Because I raised it, and I'm a co-owner, and I'm putting in sweat equity, right? But it's different than hammer and nail and all that. So, but we did have Tony. Tony was on site for like 9 months during construction, managing that whole thing. You need partners, but you need to know how to work together.
Yep.
And then it is a business. You need to know marketing, or bring in experts that do. And so you got to manage budgets. You got to go find consultants. It's a business. Right. And then you have a property manager, and you got to find the right property manager. You need to know what problem you're solving. They usually manage the staff, hiring, firing, like guest messaging. Sometimes they handle the marketing, right? Yeah. You're dealing with people and companies and deadlines and deliverables and all that. It's a business.
Yep.
And so one of the things that I say now after doing 24 units in Solvang is go bigger. Either go bigger with more units, because 24 versus 50, not that different. Not going to be different.
Okay.
Or less units, higher ADR.
Okay.
Meaning you're going to create the same amount of revenue with less units. Mm-hmm. And so your occupancy might be less, or the way you operate it might be easier. And if you can charge a higher rate, more revenue, your margins are better, right? So those are the two models. Solvang's an amazing hotel, and we're going to make money on it. But what it taught me is that it's a box, and the boxes usually make the same amount of money no matter what. Okay. And a bunch of other people are buying boxes and doing the same thing, right? I love Solvang, and we did such a great job. It's called the Marlowe. The outdoors is incredible. We totally transformed it. The rooms are great. close to downtown, all that. And there's other ways to do it where you can spend the same amount of time and energy and effort in what you do by either more units or less units, higher ADR.
Yeah. So would you say 24 is equivalent to 150?
No, because now you're like resort, the principles are the same, but your staffing levels, the amenities that you provide.
Got it.
Also, the thing that you need to think about is your exit strategy, right? So, and Solvang's actually on this edge of like, can we exit to like a hedge fund versus another, what are called syndicators? We are syndicators.
Okay.
Syndicators like to see some meat on the bone. They want to go and look at a property and be like, okay, I can go make some improvements and make money, right? Hedge funds, they start buying in the $12 million range, but they also might need a restaurant or they might need certain things depending on which way you go. And so there's like, the name is slipping me, but basically these big capital investors, they want to buy cash flow.
Got it.
And so, but that's at a certain exit price. And so you need to figure out like, oh, what are we doing to exit?
Okay.
Are we going to a syndicator? Are we trying to go for a flagged hotel, right? Do we want to go get a flag ahead of time and then sell, right? So do we want to be a soft brand or like a boutique soft brand where we have, we're sort of part of Hilton or we're sort of part of Marriott, but we're not like officially a Marriott. Does that help us, right? So you get to think about the exit strategy because that's when the money is made, is on the refinance and on the exit, and knowing what they're going to look for when they go to buy you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Little transition here to you starting your podcast. I still think I clicked on it just to see your oldest video because I like when I get the opportunity to sit across from other people that have podcasts, I do my own research where I'm like, I want to see this person when they were starting off and how did they speak and was their confidence in there? And then what was the transition to where they're at today? So I did this with you. Just like every other.
Tell me.
Yeah. No.
Tell me. Give me.
Vast improvement. This gentleman, this Kassidy Warren that I'm sitting across from is a lot different from earlier 9 months. But with that being said, 9 months, dude, still baby. You know what I mean? And you've already had the opportunity to share your desk, because that is your style of a boardroom style, with some heavy hitters, but also really big mentors in the space. What have you had the opportunity to pull and extract from conversations with them during your podcast, or maybe sidebar, maybe for a drink, or what have you learned the most from being able to just share the room with so many really cool people?
Let me start with the first couple episodes.
Sure.
Real quick. I had the dream on my heart for a long time. I was still consulting like 11 months ago. I was still essentially in corporate doing consulting work 11 months ago.
Okay.
Toxic environment. I was doing it for the check. And when I finally quit, I left about $100,000 on the table I could have just kept bleeding that, like I could have worked for another couple months and got another 100K, but I left that on the table. And I said, I'm going to go all in on this podcast. And every night I went to bed, before I launched, every night I went to bed, my heart was racing. My mind was like, you're dumb, you're stupid. Like, what are you doing? You're an engineer, you're a consultant, blah, 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 all that stuff. And then I bought all the equipment. I was in my room, my basement, essentially. If you go back and look, there's some like curtains and I'm in my basement. And my wife was out of town that weekend and I laid on the floor for like 2 days, just like writhing in my own internal resistance to me doing this. And if you've ever read the book, Turning Pro, or the War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, the main theme is your body and your mind will resist what you're meant to do out of fear and protection. And for 2 days, I write on the floor. I was like, I can't do this. I was like totally in my head about everything. And then I finally got up. I finally hit record. I recorded an episode. And then the next day I recorded 5. And that was it. And they were solo episodes, and they're still up. One of the top episodes was like my 5, essentially the 5 non-negotiables, the daily habits that I do. And then from there, I was like, I'm kind of a growth hack guy. I don't want to wait for things to happen to me. Yeah. I want to go make them happen. So I was like, I have to go travel everywhere. I'm going to go everywhere. And I was like, nobody else is doing this, but I can't wait for people to come to Seattle. I can't wait for people to come to me. I got to go to them. And so I did that. And I ended up being able to interview Rich Summers, Thatchwin, Mikey Taylor, Dan Martell for a live audience of 200 people in New York City, hosting essentially a big event. Yeah. Just interviewed Ryan Pineda, interviewing Omar today. And that's off the back of me doing whatever it takes. And so what I've learned from my own self and from essentially everyone that I've interviewed is it's all about making a decision and not stopping. Consistency and iteration is the number one factor differentiating people from success and no success. Your ability to just not stop and then get better, get a little bit better each and every time. And that's Mr. Beast's principle.
Yeah.
And he's on my list for this year.
There we go.
Right?
I love it.
And that's the other thing. Call your shot.
Yeah.
I think most podcasters, most people, but most podcasters or whatever, they are too afraid to ask people. And so they keep themselves small.
Got it.
Out of fear.
Yeah.
When I got Ryan Pineda, it was a cold DM. Awesome. And his assistant was like, yeah, sure, great. Boom.
Awesome.
Done. But people are too afraid to put themselves out there. Or, this is the big one. And this came from Dan. Dan Martell's my coach, and him and I have a long history together. He's a huge, he changed my life. He's the reason that I'm sitting here on this couch for sure. But I didn't realize, and this is most people's fear, it's not a failure. It's not even looking like a failure. It's actually looking like a beginner. So those people that I talked about that are in their comfort zone that have created the life, they don't want to go start something new and look like a beginner. We've created our own world of where I'm the center of my world or I'm good at something. Yeah. So now I'm going to go try something new and I got to look like a beginner. And then you're telling me, myself is telling me that if I actually get what I want, I'm going to have to maintain that standard of being that person. Wow. And that keeps people stuck because right now you are not that person. And so to think that you are going to become that person and then you're going to have to maintain the standards of that person, right? I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any drugs. I microdose mushrooms every now and then, but I go to the gym 5 days a week and I lift hard and I eat the right food. I do all that. If you're getting drunk every night, you're smoking, you're staying out late, you're gambling, maybe you're watching porn, all that stuff, to think that you now have to essentially not do that stuff to become this version of yourself, people are afraid of holding that standard because they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe they can hold their standard. But that's what it takes. But actually, once you get there, it's not as hard as you think to hold your standard because it's actually an easier life. Because you're living in your purpose. You're being true to yourself. You said, I'm going to do this thing. And so this is how I'm going to do it. And it's like, I feel so good about myself. I was at the gym today and I was looking in the mirror and I was like, I'm so fucking proud of you.
That's right. Because
I know where I came from. I know where I was. I know my mindset. And I've been looking at pictures of me from like 5 years ago. Totally different person. Mm-hmm. Totally different person. And I'm so proud that I made the decision. So that, number one, out of all the interviews, everything, and it's the message that I want to like tell people, it's the decision of you saying, finally, you saying, yes, I'm going to do the thing that I want to do. And then you don't fucking stop. Do not, no matter what. No matter what. And when I was starting out, I was like, oh, this is where people stop. Even the little things of like memory cards and file uploads and getting episodes out and perfectionism, I was like, oh, this is where people stop. 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 At every moment, this is where everyone else stops. And use that as a motivator of like, I'm not fucking stopping. 100%. And that's it. And then if you get a little bit better and get a little bit better and get a little bit better, and that's what life's about, is transforming into the best version of yourself through the thing that you want to do the most. Entrepreneurship or a creative project is like the greatest self-improvement journey you've ever been on. Because it's you versus you every single day. And we're waiting for everyone else to give us permission. We're waiting for someone to come say, you can do this. Because that's how we've been trained. Right. Through school, through corporate. We're waiting for someone to give us instruction and do something. And I'm speaking from experience. Yeah. When you realize all you have to do is say, I'm going to do this, and extend the timeline of when you think you'll be able to get it done. Move with urgency. Move with urgency. Go as hard and as fast and as like far as you can. But if you can detach yourself from when it actually happens, you'll feel so much more satisfied because it relieves a little bit of the pressure on yourself. and you can have fun and you can enjoy it and you can enjoy the hard times and the good times and recognize your progress, because that's what it's about. So me, I'm on like a 10-year journey.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, I started late.
Yeah.
I'm 39 years old, man.
Yeah.
And like, I still feel like a kid though. And so like, I'm like, how do I accelerate this? How do I have as much fun? How do I leave as big of an impact? How do I not care about what people think about me? Right? That's what it is. That's the whole fucking game.
Yeah.
Is to not stop and not care what other people think about you, and do it for you. Like, do it for you.
Yeah.
Do it for the younger you. And then at some point it can shift into like, serve the world.
Yeah.
Right? Give back. Teach this. And that's where I'm at, is like, oh, like, I'm good. I'm good in my purpose being giving back and releasing people from the trap that they're in. That's where I'm at.
Powerful. So reflective. And as you were speaking, I was kind of going through my own like recollection of my wanna quit moments. And I remember them while doing this in real time. Was I put out my first video and it didn't get the momentum and the likes that I was like, yeah, I'm done.
After one.
Yeah, after one, because I was like, dude, I put so much time, I put so much effort. You know, I find my own guests, I come up with my own questions.
Yep.
You know, I have a family, I have my own business. Like, there's stuff that gets involved with this, and I was like, for this, I'm out. You know what I mean? And I didn't, obviously, because I got the opportunity to watch it back, and I was like, oh, it's their problem. They don't know, because this is awesome. Like, this is great. They're missing out.
Yeah.
And then I had another one where I had the most toxic guest. And that saying of like, don't meet your role models or whatever.
Oh.
Bro, it was a crusher. I got that opportunity and that episode happened. And I remember just talking with the team after, and I was like, dude, I'm so deflated. Like, it was terrible to me. The guests enjoyed themselves, you know what I mean? Because they're just them. And it made me really have to look back and be like, is this the world I want to get myself into? Because I can't control you. You know what I mean? You're another human. I don't actually know these people. I just get the opportunity to sit down and maybe we chit chat 10, 15 minutes before we air or we shoot, right? So I was like, there's so much human nature on the other side. Like, do I want to do this to myself? Because I sat with that for like 4 days. And that was that other moment for me where I was like, yeah, I'm going to quit. I don't need to do this, right? It was just a passion project. It's fun. I like talking to people, and I like the opportunity of like, what really started this for me was I felt like people were having conversations so surface level, and I was tired of it. I was like, I'm in the gym listening to a podcast, and no offense to podcasts, I was like, this shit sucks. Like,
yeah,
I'm changing it. I'm flipping to the next one, and I'm destroying my workout because I'm so focused on Spotify trying to find something of value. So I was like, I'm going to do it. I know what needs to be asked. I'm going to do it. And then I just remembered that feeling that I had in the gym where that second moment came, and I was like, you got to fight through. Everyone isn't going to be like that. The other prior guests weren't that. And my next guest I had, he actually told me, he was like, dude, this is the best podcast I've ever done. I was like, hell yeah. Okay, cool. Let's keep it going. So I appreciate you sharing, because it made me reflect on myself, and it's a real thing.
The great thing is like, these are all just moments on the journey. Right. And the thing about not stopping is everything can feel so big and so massive in the moment, but you get to at any moment choose in or choose out. You get to choose to keep going or not. And that moment becomes just a moment. And it's great for two reasons. You get to relish in the great things, and also not get too high on your horse, because it's just another moment on your journey.
Right.
And then the lows, same thing. You get to experience it and you get to move on. And that's what builds the confidence. And that's where, like, when you can be like, when you're in your shit and like, I want to give up. And then the next moment you're like, no, I'm going to keep going. That's it. Like, that is what it's about, is you keeping the commitments to yourself. And then you saying, I'm going to build it for myself. Mm-hmm. That's the other secret, is if you just build the thing that you want to build for yourself, just like our Airbnbs, like our properties, we're building it for ourselves. Right. Like, that's what it is. You get to just do that. So yeah, big ups to you for sticking it out.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate the time, dude. This one was really big and monumental for myself. I didn't even know that this episode was going to do what it's doing internally for me, but I appreciate you. Please let the audience know how they can contact you, follow the podcast, all that good stuff, man.
Yeah, the podcast is called For Your Own Good, Spotify, Apple, all that. I have the YouTube channel, which is under my name, Kassidy Warren. That's Kassidy with a K. I'm on Instagram at Kassidy.Warren. And if you're interested in creating a life full of purpose by using real estate, you can DM me, Escape, see if you're a good fit for the community. And yeah, this has been excellent, man. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. And with that being said, I'm going to steal this tagline of creating a life full of purpose. I think that's perfectly put for the ending of this episode is if you have haters in your corner, don't worry about them. Double down on yourself. If there's people that you want to have in your corner and help you get to where you think the end goal is and they're not there, don't worry about them. Double down on yourself. Because like Kassidy said, he has a 10-year goal. So do not give up on day 10. Because you have 9 more years to go, right? So just double down on all of the hard work and just try to do it as fast as you can. Like he said, accelerate it. And that would be today's episode of the Double Down Podcast. Thank you.